Oh, what's going on? I'm on vacation in Australia. Underneath the world, I'm here chilling on the bottom side of the planet, and what do I hear? Lo and behold, some sort of new Jon Snow TV show. Oh my goodness. So yes, let's talk about it. So yes, I'm going to give you several things here. You come to me because, well, you like hanging out with each other. You like my birds, you like my jokes, or maybe you like my analysis. So I'm definitely going to give you my opinion on what I think about this, which is something, my first reaction is something along the lines of, no, God, please, no. So I feel you guys in the chat that have that energy. As a YouTuber, I will take the time to do something more than that. I'll also approach it like, okay, well, granted that we don't think this is a good idea, how could we be wrong? How could it work? What potential things could they explore? Or maybe just, in what ways could this be an abomination? I don't know. So I will give you my raw opinion. I'll also give you more less biased analyses because I want to give you both, and leave room for everyone's reaction to exist without being, castigated as the wrong opinion or something dreadful like that. So let me get my Jesus Jon Snow a little better in focus here. I do love this one. And then get this going. And hi, everyone. Hi, friends. Yes, what's going on? It's madness. It's madness. A new Obi-Jon Kenobi. Is that what they think they're doing? And I am enjoying the Obi-Wan show quite a bit. Obi-Wan is running a clinic on how to flesh out a narrative and a story that already has hard facts on the beginning and the end of it. How do we write a story in the middle that doesn't disturb either of those facts but enhances the story? And they're doing a great job over there on that one. This is different. So first of all, just to give you the 411, it's not a fake article, but this has not been confirmed by any official sources, by Kit. It has not been confirmed because Kit Harrington, so the story is that there is a new show in development. It is going to be Jon Snow post the events of Game of Thrones, and that Kit Harrington has signed on, or is in talks to sign on, is attached to the project if it gets greenlit, because the story is that it's in development, which means early stages, people throwing shit at the walls and seeing if it sticks. This whole thing could be a trial balloon that floated. The source is James Hibbard, who is very tightly connected with D&D. He was a bit of a show apologist, if you will. He was very pro D&D, pro the ending. He also last year reported that there was a Robert's Rebellion show in development. That turned out to be either not true or a rumor that nobody else ever confirmed, and it got ditched. So I just want to cast this the right way. There's James Hibbard reported it for Hollywood Insider. A couple of other sources have said they've confirmed the story, but without elaborating, and HBO has not given any sort of statement. James Hibbard is not associated with HBO, so it's not like Elio or Linda telling us George Martin said this, which would be very credible. So this may be a rumor, or it may be a trial balloon that gets popped quickly by folks like me and shot down. I don't know. Or it could be, it's not just like a Reddit rumor. Hollywood Reporter is a credible, it's a magazine. It's as credible as magazines are, I guess. So I'm mostly skeptical because it just seems like a bad idea. Why does it seem like a bad idea? Well, first of all, we don't have the end of the books. We've only got the end of the end of this, the story on the show. In case you missed it, it was a little controversial. Some might say bad. The majority of the fandom did not like it, and a strong portion of the fandom really, really did not like it. I realize other people did like it, and some people, you might be talking about one part of the ending or another part of the ending. Obviously, there's different characters. Some of the plots may have resolved in a way that you liked more than the other, but mostly we're talking about the Jon and Dany part. I'm on record with my opinion about that. I think it was terrible specifically because it was an inversion of Dany's character up to that point. She spends 7.5 seasons basically self-sacrificing for the good of her people, living out the ideal of what a the ideal leader. GRM confirmed it. Is that the case, Michael Cadane? I saw that HBO. I was going to say HBO tweeted out a picture of Jon that says, you know nothing." So they're playing coy. They're obviously making a joke about it. So that to me made it look like maybe that's legit. Elio and Linda retweeting it. I don't know that means anything. No, but somebody else is saying no. George didn't confirm it. Yeah, please, if you throw something else in the chat, please know what you're talking about. Just don't throw stuff out if you don't know what you're saying, because then I might repeat it and mislead the folks. But I have not seen that George has yes, we are emotionally fragile. Although maybe we're tough, Carl Karstock. Maybe we've been through so much that we're tough and hardened warriors by now. But look, the reason why this seems like a bad idea is because the ending of the show was poorly received, and to be nice to D&D, it seems like they had been at it a long time, were ready to move on, kind of wrap things up in a hurry. It talked about minimizing the magic on purpose. Yeah, if this is any sort of attempt to fix season 8, then that's not, or the last few seasons, you might even say, that's not really a good idea. If I were HBO, I would want to leave this alone. I'd be like, look, we fucked up, but we still have a franchise. So let's do House of the Dragon, Corlys Velaryon prequel show, Yi animated show, The Voyages of Nymeria. These all sound really interesting, and I would love to see them. However, and let me know, guys, if there's any lag or weird video issues. I'm obviously not at home. I'm on vacation. I'm in Australia. It is 9:15 a.m. I'm never awake at 9:15 unless I'm still awake, and that's a really bad event. That's not good. So in any case, it doesn't seem like a good idea to me, because it's if you're writing a story that goes after the end of Game of Thrones for Jon, where are the walls? Where are the walls in this Truman Show reality? Like, is he going to wander back into the Seven Kingdoms? Because if he does, we need to know what's going on with Sansa and King Bran. And are the people mad about Daenerys? Has Daenerys been resurrected? And yeah, Daenerys is kind of the thing here. If you're going back into that reality that happened after the show, then what are they doing with Daenerys? Are they just leaving her dead and then just occasionally talking, shit about her, or is she remembered by the people for saving Westeros? Like, that's all really uncomfortable. I don't think there's any win for HBO. As a writer, I wouldn't want to be handed that. That's what you'd call a minefield. And like I said, if I was in the HBO, sort of brain trust, I'd be like, let's just pretend like that bad ending didn't happen and explore the world elsewhere. By trying to write something for Jon Snow in the timeline right after the ending, they're walking right back into that mess that Dave and Dan created. And if they're going to resurrect Daenerys, then the show should be called the Daenerys Show, not the Jon Snow Show. To resurrect Daenerys in a show about Jon would be just making everything worse, because you're continuing to make the best character in the show, Daenerys, who did the most, become even more of an adjunct to the male character, Jon, who basically became an empty vessel in the last 2 seasons. Like, I haven't done a who is the real Jon Snow video, but I've thought about it, and I've got some thoughts in my head about what it would be like. If you go back to just season 6 Jon Snow, he speaks in complete sentences, guys, with more than 5 words. And he forgot how to do that in the last 2 seasons. Like, in season 6, he's giving these long speeches. And thank you, Glenn Thrasher. And thank you also, another super chat that came in earlier. Scroll. Will Foran. Thank you, buddy. Gosh. I'm gathering my thoughts here. To resurrect Daenerys would overshadow everything. Okay, so I was talking about Jon. Jon used to speak in season 6. In fact, the last compelling stuff that I really saw on Game of Thrones was probably Jon and Dany's initial interplay, where there's a little bit of sexual tension, but they're both chiefly concerned with politics and saving the world. And there's an intensity to their communication when Jon is arguing, on behalf of the people of the North. And then they're in the caves, and he's trying to convince Daenerys of the threat. And he's showing her the ancient, Children of the Forest markings on the cave wall, which I thought was cool. Even if the symbolism and the circles didn't really mean anything, or maybe it was just a vague hat tip to eclipses and stuff that they didn't really, whatever. It was still a really cool scene. It was some of the best Jon and Dany interplay on the show. Jon was using words, is the point. He was a character with feelings, taking strong positions, driving the plot even. But the last 2 seasons, Jon did not drive the plot, and he really did just become a leaf blown about by the story, and the story was entirely bent towards trying to turn Dany into a villain. And it had to be focused on that because Dany isn't a villain, because Dany is a character who, of course, is very self-sacrificing, empathetic, lays it all on the line for the people, saves the freaking world, overturns systems of slavery and injustice left and right. So Jon and Dany have all these reasons for mutual respect. And of course, the last season especially was really like, you could see the between the lines, you can see the director's notes. How do we make Dany into a villain? Because that's how we decided we want to end the show. Now, in case you didn't know, the ending of the TV show is not necessarily or even probably the ending that you're that you're going to see in the books. So first of all, Dave and Dan have described 3 oh shit moments about the last, the end of the story not written yet, that George told them that they were like, oh my God. And one of them was the hold the door moment. Another one was, I forget what they were, but none of them was Jon killing Dany. Oh, Shireen, the burning of Shireen was one of those oh shit moments. Jon killing Dany was, quote, I'm quoting Dave and Dan here, something we came up with back around season 3. Okay, something we came up with. Jon killing Dany was Dave and Dan's idea. And the reason that Jon had to kill Dany was because she went crazy. That is also Dave and Dan's idea. The idea that Dany's going crazy, or that she'd be willing to murder thousands of people in the streets of King's Landing in a fit of rage, or whatever it was. It's still not explained to this day what was going on, if she lost it or thought she was setting a stern example or what, because she goes right back to giving a speech about breaking the wheel and all this stuff. It's so incoherent. Anyways, so this Jon Snow show is diving back into all kinds of messes. It would be diving back into the mess of Jon's character having been erased, and the last thing he did was kill Daenerys. So a lot of the fandom turned against him, although I don't treat those events as any kind of canon, so I don't take them credibly. I don't hate Daenerys for murdering people in King's Landing, because in my mind she didn't do that. That was a weird, automaton puppet that Dave and Dan piloted. So, like I said, just to make this very clear, Dany's ending was Dave and Dan's idea. And George has specifically said that we've seen an ending, but not the ending, and that we'll see his ending when the books come out. So, do not think that Dany going mad this isn't the Marvel universe or the Star Wars franchise where everything is canon, where any sort of books about Star Wars that are written now agree with the movies and it's all canon locked. This is not like that. Like, the book canon is different than the show canon. And House of the Dragon, it's not even clear what House of the Dragon's canon is really operating on. They're working off of Fire and Blood. And by the way, this is the international black cover. It's a little different. I'm in Australia. Got the different version of it. Usually mine's red. In any case, House of the Dragon is drawing from Fire and Blood, right? But it's going to make little changes. It might age people up or down. That's not changing the canon of the books. Now, we see that they did use the same throne room in King's Landing. They've changed the Iron Throne a bit, but it's in the same spot in the same room. So they want to keep some level of continuity between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, the TV show. But obviously House of the Dragon happens before Game of Thrones, so it doesn't really have to agree or disagree with Game of Thrones and how it ended. But this new Jon Snow show, it would have to give a comment, and it would trigger all of that arguments and stuff, and it would probably have to try to clean up the ending and make it make sense, which is heavy to impossible of a lift. So those are my initial feelings. Oh, and also, what's the story? Like with the Obi-Wan story, if you guys are watching, I'm going to talk about Obi-Wan without spoiling it. Okay. If you're not watching, I would assume everybody's watching that. If you're not watching, if you like Star Wars, I don't know what you'd be waiting for. But just to talk about it in a vague sense, they've introduced a new character in that story, who's an Inquisitor. Well, let's see. I don't even want to go into detail. The point is, they've introduced a new character that's very, very compelling. And the reason why that character is compelling, if you've watched the last episode, we now know her backstory. Her backstory is a story that needed to be told in the universe. It's a story of a certain group of people that were victimized. And I'm not spoiling anything for you. It was a story that needed to be told. It was a character that a kind of experience that we knew happened to certain people in the Star Wars universe that had never been explored. So they were like, well, let's ask ourselves the logical question. What would have happened to the people that went through this event if they survived, and then they took a survivor from this horrific event and turned them into an adult character with all the trauma of this past event that we already knew about. So it's very creative writing. They found a story that needed to be told. There was a gap in the storytelling, a perspective that we knew existed that we hadn't gotten yet. It's hard to see how that works with this. Like, what do we need to know about Jon Snow after Game of Thrones? Is he going to be wandering around in the north, like shooting the shit with Tormund? So some people have said, I saw Gray Area tweet and say, well, I wouldn't mind learning more about the White Walkers and all that stuff. The thing is, they'd have to change that canon too, because the White Walkers are gone. Like, think about it. Not only is the Night King gone, who makes the other White Walkers and raises the dead, the Children of the Forest made the Night King, and they're all gone too. So there's no Night King, no undead, no White Walkers, no Wall, and no Children of the Forest, and there's also no Green Seers, because the last Green Seer was Bloodraven and then Bran, and Bran did that download, and then it seems like, I didn't talk about it too much, but it seems like the Weirwood Net is shut down. So, yeah, bears. Somebody's like bears. Yeah, John Tormund and some snow bears. Now, I don't necessarily think that you have to have super high stakes in order to make a compelling show. Okay? The Mandalorian, to keep with Star Wars, The Mandalorian is the first season especially, it's not operating on the same level of stakes as, say, the Ben Kenobi show. There are lower stakes and it's a more intimate personal story, but it works because the character is interesting. And this is what I always say when I talk about all these different shows, potential shows. Story writing is always the most important. Good characters, good dialogue, a story that grabs you. Theoretically, you could do this well. Theoretically. You could write a good story about what Jon Snow's doing north of the Wall after Game of Thrones. It's not impossible. I'm just saying it's a heavy lift and there's a lot of obstacles in the way. Right? So, yeah. Let me take a look at the chat here and see what you guys are saying about this. Yeah, the Ice Dragon, the new nemesis is the Ice Dragon. So it could be something more like personal with Jon, like I said, dealing with the fallout of watching Ygritte die and then having been manipulated into murdering Daenerys, the only other woman he loved. That went poorly. Yeah, it starts off with Grey Worm. It's a opening shot of Grey Worm in the snow. He's been tracking Jon for like 6 years. And motherfucker, I'm gonna kill him. But then we'd just be rooting for Grey Worm. That wouldn't even be the Jon Snow show. It'd be the Grey Worm show. But yeah, like I said, either you're just leaving Daenerys alone and not bringing her back, which is weird, or because like most people don't want to see a Game of Thrones show without Daenerys if it's going to have the other characters. Like, I'm sorry, we don't. Most people don't. So, and if they do bring Daenerys back, then it should be the Daenerys show because that's going to Bigfoot everything. So Drogon is out there, but yeah. And if they were to resurrect Daenerys and make her the villain, then that'd be even worse. And if they were to try to resurrect the entire Game of Thrones thing where like Daenerys is resurrected and builds an army in Essos and comes back to invade Westeros and King Jon, like that's just going to be kind of like fan fiction at that point. I mean, I don't know. That'd be tough. Or maybe George would be on board, but I don't understand what George would be doing trying to write that story when he hasn't written Winds of Winter and The Dream of Spring and the other Dunk and Egg books that he wants to write. Because the thing is, the Dunk and Egg books, he knows what he wants to write for those. Winds of Winter, Dream of Spring, he knows what he wants to write for those. Trying to write an all-new story for Jon that begins after the events is like kind of nuts. I don't see how George has the creative energy or time to do that. So that would be kind of strange. And I also don't think, I don't know that George has absolute final call on everything. I'm sure he doesn't run HBO now. But given that HBO is partnered with him in a more enhanced way and is looking to bring out multiple shows from his material, I would think that if George wouldn't, he's got a pretty big say. I think he could kill this if he wanted to. Like, they're not going to make a story about Jon post Game of Thrones unless George is on board with it. So we're really, like I said, we're still waiting for confirmation. Maybe this will all be shot down, and it's a waste of time. But I'm not sure. So yeah, what do you guys think? Like, yeah, obviously you could have Val. Maybe Jon Snow just becomes the Witcher, just hunts monsters in the north. See, I thought that if they were going to do any post Game of Thrones show, the one that would have made sense is obviously the adventures of Arya Stark, because she's sailing west of west to the unknown country. So she could go and do all new things and it would just be Arya. You could maybe bring back friggin' Hot Pie or some random dude once in a while, but basically it would be Arya in a completely new land. It would be a fantasy setting with Arya Stark that wouldn't mess with the rest of it. That would kind of make sense. Trying to work Jon, though, north of the Wall, it's like you either have to bring him back into Westeros, and then you're calling Sophie Turner and everyone, where's Brienne? Where's Bran? What's Bran doing? You got to go. And that's just like, that's not the Jon Snow show. That's Game of Thrones season 9. So if they're going to make this Jon Snow, it really needs to stay separate from most of the Seven Kingdoms, which means, is he just hanging around the north? Because those northern scenes make me cold to watch them. They're just so cold. They're all out there and filming in just the most remote tundras, and everyone looks genuinely, honestly cold. I don't know if I want to watch that for 60 minutes every week. Jon goes to the east with Arya. I mean, maybe. It just be kind of a head scratcher at that point. Like, why? What are we doing? Yes, Kit. Right. So, Kit Harrington. Let's talk about that. He hated filming in the North. Would he want to do that for more seasons? I don't know. Kit Harrington, the actor, isn't really known for anything other than Game of Thrones. So does he want to lock himself in as Jon Snow for all time? That's what he'd be doing. Maybe he feels like that's, the easy way or the best choice for him. I mean, obviously, he'd make a lot of money. But depends on how much Kit cares about acting in different roles and doing other things. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, he was in Eternals. That movie didn't really do that well for the Marvel movies, I don't think. Although I heard that some people liked it. That Pompeii movie was not very good. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, right. They don't need the money. That's true. None of these people need the money. They're already rich. So it's hard to say. Episode 1 is Jon hopping on Arya's ship as they leave. Yeah, I mean, possibly so. Yeah, if you want to pipe in with questions and comments, by the way, you can do that with the super chat function inside of YouTube or with the PayPal function linked in the description below the video. And let me just click over and check on dem PayPals, see if any have come in. Not as of yet, probably because I didn't say anything about it yet. So there it is, guys. If you want to support the program, that's how to do it. I told you I would be going live if there was any breaking news. I was looking for a new House of the Dragon trailer. Instead, will they recast Ghost? Well, Ghost is still alive, so at least it would be Jon and Ghost. Yeah, Ryan, exactly. It just seems like huge attempts at retconning stuff that they should probably just leave alone. This guy's already been resurrected once. Like, literally, he's been brought back from the dead. They're going to bring him back from the dead, like, sort of metaphorically. I don't know. How about a show about Lyanna Mormont running Bear Island? That's the thing. If you wanted to do, like I said, a close-in story with lower stakes that was interesting, you would take a character like that. Like, yeah, let's see what 20-year-old Lyanna Mormont, how she's running things or something. I don't know. Oh, she's dead. Thank you. That's true. She is dead. She got squished. A great death. I like. That was a good little arc for her. But yeah, you see my point. You could take something like that and expand it. But really, I think it makes more sense to go back in time and deal with stuff that is earlier or elsewhere, like the Corlys Velaryon show. We know he needs to make 9 voyages, but those voyages basically go everywhere. And we don't know what happened on those voyages other than he came back really stinking rich. So that show's got a lot of liberty. They can do most anything at all. And they could occasionally dip into Valyrian lore and fill out some extra world building stuff. Obviously, the whole point of giving him a Summer Islands connection would be, or not the whole point, but one of the points would be to incorporate that in the Sea Snake show. So this all makes sense. The Nymeria show is probably going to be the best one if they do that right. I mean, that will give us Valyria and the Rhoynar and giant wars, and then Exodus, and then Sithorios, and the Summer Isles, and the Basilisk Isles, and then Dorne, and a war in Dorne, and the unification, and the Martells, and that's like 5 seasons of goodness right there. So all that's great, but I just don't understand following around Jon Snow in the snow. That's tough. That's tough. Yeah, the response has not been, positive. I've definitely been monitoring social media to see people's reactions. Yeah, this might be one where people hate watch it or watch it to make fun of it or what. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing this one going forward before. To be fair, so the report just says Jon Snow will be back. Doesn't say the entire show will be around him. I think it kind of did imply that. Let me just take a gander, peek a look. I will read you the exact words. Kit Harrington is attached to reprise his fan-favorite role in the first potential Thrones project to take place after the events in the original series. And the title is Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series. So that does sound like it's centered around Jon Snow. And it would be. Kit Harrington is a big-name actor, and that would be the center of it. Like I said, unless you called it Game of Thrones Season 9 or Game of Thrones something reboot, after the Thrones, that would make it sound like it's about the whole world. This sounds all about Jon Snow, who's actually Aegon Targaryen, by the way. So it's not even the Jon Snow show. This would be the Aegon Targaryen show. We couldn't even call him Jon. I mean, maybe they would still call him Jon, but he's Aegon now. So, Aegon Targaryen. Like his dad's name, Eddard, and Jon smushed together. Egon. You could pronounce Aegon that way, conceivably. The other's sword was so thin that it seemed to disappear when glanced at Jon. That's from the prologue. Anyways, there's like 5 people that know what I'm talking about in the chat. So this seems like a mess. Yeah, he didn't want the throne, and we don't want the show. That's kind of like, it's like, how could it be good? Give me some ideas. Like, how could this be a good thing? Like I said, anything can be good if the writing is good. I don't think there's anything they could do that would make the people that didn't like the ending feel better about it. I don't think that's going to be something that could do. And if they're going to go back into the 7 kingdoms and stuff, then the question is, what kind of magic is around? Are they just going back to do northern politics some more? Are they just going to resurrect the Dance of Dragons plot lines that they abandoned? Working title, Egg on Snow. That opens up with just an egg in the snow. I don't know. Mouse Click says, perhaps it'll be zombie Odin helping humans to resettle the north while hunting down the last others, monsters, and dragons. Okay, so there is the seed of, with, like I said, what stories need to be told? Well, what happened to the wildlings, right? Jon's plot line, Dany frees slaves, and the thing that Jon does that's equivalent is he tries to reconcile the wildlings to the south of Westeros. He lets them through the wall before the worst of the long night comes. That's a good thing. This is making the world a better place. The prejudice against wildlings is completely baseless. They basically are just first men that got stuck on the wrong side of the wall, and now there's a bunch. Now they've been otherized. It's not subtle. So of course reconciliation is a part of it. Reconciliation is a major theme of the books. Jon begins reconciling the wildlings who he's lived with and have become humanized and not otherized to him. He reconciles them, or begins to, with the 7 kingdoms. That's a good thing. In the books, that's right when the shit hit the fan and Jon got mutinied and everything's going nuts. So we don't know what happens after that. On the show, we don't really know. The wildlings just kind of went back north after everything. They just sort of, like, Jon went back and everyone gave him like bro pats, and like Tormund was there, the wolf was there, then it was over. So there's a little bit of a question, like, what happened to the wildlings? The wall is down, so now they're moving into northern Westeros, but that's not really a story by itself. So I'm not sure. Would they maybe bring back Sophie Turner and create those as the 2 major axis of the thing? Like, Sophie's the Lady of Winterfell. Jon is this estranged person in the north, but a few years later, he's coming back as almost like a king in the north, advocating for the wildlings, and Sansa isn't about that, and they have to have a conflict. It's the best thing I've got so far, I guess. Couple of people saying the House of the Dragon trailer might be coming out this Sunday. That would be awesome. I could wait for it to come out and then go live and talk about it. But yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, this is, it's tough. Now, writers are very creative. A lot of people were wondering about the Obi-Wan show. Like, oh, well, what are they going to do? They've got hard fixed events on both sides, and Darth Vader said, the last time I saw you, you were the master and I was the student. So it implies that they've never talked to each other since then. So how can we have an Obi-Wan show and not have Darth Vader? And they found a good way to do all that a lot of people might not have foreseen. So maybe there's something that I haven't foreseen either. The bro show with Tormund sounds more likely. Yeah. Fucking, what's his name? Will turn up. Bronn. He'll turn up. Motherfucker. Be like, yeah, Highgarden was boring. What are you guys up to? I got a super chat a minute ago. Let's go back here and check that out. Melissa Moore, with everything George created in this entire Ice and Fire universe, I just don't see a Jon Snow show happening. I really just don't. Yeah, that was my initial reaction too. I'm trying to go explore other thoughts than that, but that is overwhelmingly my reaction. It's like I just don't see the reason for it. And there's so many other more interesting stories to tell, I would say, that are out there. We stumbled upon the idea of doing the Conquest as like kind of like a limited run, like a one season show, like kind of like they did the Obi-Wan show, where it's a big movie broken up into 6 episodes and it's a one-time run. The Conquest like that would be cool. I've already commented on the 4 spin-offs that we know about. Those all sound great. And I did get a PayPal from, who was it from? Oh, it's not updating on there. I'll use my telephone. Telephone. I'm old. So let me just hit this cough button. All right, I got a question from... Oh, that notification was to let me know that I've paid $5 to Twitch. That's my John B services. But I would like to thank Timothy C., David G., Amanda R., and Albert C. for sending in PayPal donations over the last 3 days. Thank you guys. Little donations for my vacation, take out Miss Minty to dinner, etc., etc. Yeah. So yeah, there's no it doesn't seem there's like Drogon is still out there. They could say that there's magic that's going to come back if they want to. It just seems like White Walker magic is out. The children are gone. Maybe there's more children. I don't know. So all that stuff is gone. So if it's a Jon Snow show and the White Walkers are gone, that seems like an issue, right? Maybe Jon explores his Targaryenness and goes to Essos. That seems weird. Jon's not really... It'd be weird seeing him tromp around Essos. Oh yeah, I'm down under for a few weeks. Yes, sir. I'm on the bottom of the world. I'm holding it up. Atlas is right next to me. I'm like giving him a little help with my finger. Yeah, right. So Music Box is saying, yeah, maybe Kinvara or a different Red Priestess finds Dany and resurrects her. So as I was saying earlier, if Dany's getting resurrected, then this is the Dany show. It's not the Jon Snow show. Like Dany's going to take it over. You couldn't have her in a show and not have her be the center of it. And if they're going to try to make Dany like the antagonist in the Jon Snow show, that'd just be awful after having him murder her. It's just like resurrecting Dany to like desecrate her character even more. That would be bad. Jon exploring his Targaryen heritage after killing Daenerys. Right, exactly. Like that's why would we want to even see that? I don't know. I'm not sure. And once again, this has not been confirmed. HBO Max did tweet out what is either a troll tweet or a veiled confirmation, where it's a picture of Jon Snow that says, I know nothing, or we know nothing, you know. So they know the rumors are out there, and they're not confirming or denying, but they're playing with them. So this may be a real thing slouching towards us. I can't see a story if they don't explain where Drogon went with Dany, and I can't see Emilia returning to the role after the horrific place they went. Also, good point, Michael. I don't see Emilia coming back. And honestly, they'd have to pitch her a plot that is like super pro Daenerys for her to even be interested in it, and I don't think she would be either. I think she put her heart and soul into that thing, and I don't think Emilia would want to do it again. She actually is getting other roles. Well, I guess Kit got the Eternals role, but it's not really. I don't know. I don't think Amelia needs it. Is the point? She could just sell makeup. She's doing probably making more money doing that than movies. King of the Wicker People. Only cool idea I can think of is Drogon returns and commences a second conquest of Westeros. The show will have a tough time not including other people. That's what I'm saying. They'd have to really bring back most of the Game of Thrones major people, because we'd want to know, what is Sam doing? What is King Bran doing? Obviously, we'd need to know that. And that's just going right back into more Game of Thrones seasons. So what is a Jon Snow show that isn't Game of Thrones? It has to be separate from Westeros. So you've got the North. You've got going west with Arya, or please don't mention the names of any celebrities in the chat, especially ones that have been involved in recent court cases. Thank you. Just don't mention their names, please. Please. Thank you. We're here to talk about House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, for the love of God. Okay, so please give me some other ideas. Drogon returns. Bran finally wargs a dragon. A massive time jump. Yeah, it couldn't be too massive of a time jump, because Kit is one of those guys that looks eternally young and beautiful. I think he'll probably look young and beautiful when he's 50. So, I don't know how that's... I don't know how that works. A comedy show where Kit is being offered a Jon Snow show would be better than a Jon Snow show. I approve, JL Warad. Makes me want to read your book. Clever witticisms like that. And JL Warad is an author, by the way. The Penny Blade is his book. JL, I'm going to make you a moderator, because I like the cut of your jib. And that means you can now drop links in the chat. And if you would like to drop the link to your book, Penny Blade, which is on my shelf in the to read pile, please be welcome to do so. Because writing a book is hard, and I haven't done it yet. So hats off. I haven't finished it yet, anyways. Yes, IW. Sir. Man, my short-term memory's bad. Sir J.L. Warad. Sir Pennyblade, perhaps. Sir J.L. Warad, the Pennyblade. There you go. Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Craster's son survived the mass shattering of the collective and have become the next generation of White Walkers. Well, okay, so if they want to, they could make more White Walkers. They could do anything they want to. The canon on Game of Thrones White Walker creation is pretty flexible, right? It's like, well, we jammed the dragon glass inside of his chest, and even though dragon glass tends to kill ice magic things, this turned him into an ice magic thing. In a different time, we took the dragon glass and we put it inside Benjen, and that stopped the ice magic. But when it went inside Night King, it created the ice magic. So it doesn't really make any sense anyway. It never did. The ice dragon is an ice dragon, but his ice fire blows up the wall. Is it cold fire? We don't know. If it's hot fire, doesn't it melt the whited dragon? So it would have to be cold fire, and if it's cold fire, it should add to the wall and not burn it. So, as far as the magic goes, they can do whatever they want. They could... Yeah, so maybe... Okay, Ryan, there's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you for throwing me this bone here. Hang on a second. So Ryan says, what about a Night's Queen? Okay, so I like that. That could be a cool way if you want to bring the others back. Give me something that's more OG than Night's King, right? Like, don't make new ones. Tell me about the Night's Queen who existed before Night King. Tell me about the Night's Queen who corrupted those children of the forest and gave them the dragon glass and told them what to do and tricked them. Because the children of the forest seem to regret making the Night King. Right? So that's what I'm saying is you can never completely rule out that there's no story there, because there could always be an idea that you just didn't think of, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, Jon goes to the north to like uncover the secret of the original Night's Queen, and maybe we'll bring in, you know, Bran Stark aiding him psychically, and he's using his warg powers. Like, I don't know, it's starting to sound kind of cool. I mean, in the end, it all has to do with the writing. It all has to do with the writing. It would need a lot of good writing, and like I said, they've got a lot of challenges to sidestep. You know, what's happening in Westeros? What about Dany? What do people think about Dany? What does Jon think about murdering Dany? So yeah. Thanks, Sleepless JR. I would love to pass everyone in subs. Of course, it's not a race, and I'm happy for everyone's success. But I'm more happy for my success. So yes, we have been shooting up in the subs lately, and thank you everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. The reason why you want to subscribe to the channel and have those notifications set to all is because I have ADHD and I stream at different times, and also when there's breaking news. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you get a little diddly-doo when I go live, and then you don't miss a stream. So the chat has filled up. We've got 350 folks here. So guys, hit me with some questions or comments about this. I'm here for you. I'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. I am on vacation. I need to go meet some in-laws, but future in-laws. So got a little bit of time. We would want ice spiders. Thank you, Mike Hall, for mentioning my landmark breakthrough, much acclaimed ice spiders video. I'm sure that's what you were getting at. Yes, we would need ice spiders and a Night's Queen, and we could make some new White Walkers. And yeah, it's kind of, I guess I don't want them to go back and try to fix the Dany thing. The Dany thing is just fucked. Now, the White Walker plotline was also ruined. Theoretically, that's one I'd be more interested in them going back to explore. It's just they have that initial problem of them all being dead, and all the children of the forest also being dead. So who's making White Walkers? What's their motive? Maybe some other wildlings that worship the ice gods. Perhaps there's, you know, there's that White Walker temple up north. So maybe any wildling that wanders up to the White Walker temple is their source of ice magic and could potentially start to learn ice magic as Melisandre learned fire magic. I think the Night's Queen idea is the best one. If we're bringing back the White Walkers, then give me the OG Night's Queen. That's like, because you got to raise the stakes, man. You're like, Night King, he wasn't shit. He couldn't even talk. Couldn't even talk. He was nothing. He was like the butler of the Night's Queen. He was her footman or doorman. Shined her shoes, and that's about it. Then he launched an invasion of Westeros. She's like, psh, Night King. It's not shit. You guys haven't seen nothing. I'm gonna play you guys my funky Game of Thrones song and grab, well, just 1 second. I'll be right back. 60 seconds, guys. And if you've not heard me explain this before, the Sri Yantra symbol that I use for my logo is supposed to be a depiction of the 10 dimensions of the universe. When seen from overhead, if there is such a perspective. And so that was actually a video of the visible universe shrinking into the Sri Yantra, which represents the universe. So that was symbolism and NASA footage coming together as one in harmony. Let's see. John, that's right. John did just make up the Night King name. Maybe he could have Night Person. Maybe he was no king at all. He's Night Butler. You know. Night CEO. Yeah. You're fired. The board of shareholders voted him down. 10D chess. Yes. So, all right. Yeah, what if they... Let me try to think of... Hey, Morley. Show of love and support for all the fabulous content. Always nice to have a Morley visitation. Hello, Mora. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. I've called Daenerys. I use a lot of hyperbole when I talk about her, but she really is, one of the greatest characters in modern fiction, one of the most beloved characters in modern fiction, however you want to say it. That's why it was a strange choice as a writer to take this beloved and great character and have her completely violate every moral standard that she had exemplified over and over through so many trials and tribulations, and then be like, but these last two tragedies just made her abandon her moral compass and turn into a vicious killer. Do I support the campaign to remake season 8 of Game of Thrones? No. My feeling is like, just leave it alone. It didn't end well. George is going to fix it by writing the end of his story. There's nothing that the TV can do to fix that. I'm more interested in the TV showing us House of the Dragon, Corlys Velaryon, Nymeria's Voyage. Nymeria's Voyage. That's the one. That one's going to be awesome. That could be the biggest show. I mean, my God, that would be amazing. In any case, the Yi animated show could be friggin' awesome. It depends on what kind of, anime and artists that they tap into, and what sort of not artists, but like anime traditions. Like there's a lot of, when you say animated show, it doesn't mean like Looney Tunes, okay? Like animation and the culture around it have developed a lot in the last 30 years. And it could really draw on some established high quality stuff that not a lot of people know about, whether that's the artist or the style or the storytelling technique. Bring these things out, and everyone loves stuff like Ghost in the Shell or whatever, but just think about a badass Yi show that's told like that. I mean, you can get excited about that, right? And we don't have to re-examine our wounded feelings over the murder of Daenerys' character, as I like to call it, and so many other things. Arya and the White Horse, the Clegane Bowl, Bran's having zero personality, Tyrion as a prisoner just sort of starting to speechify and completely changing everyone's mind about what they're doing. Who has the best story, really? Isn't it Bran? Who wasn't even in a whole season and has been in a cave for 5 years. It's an amazing story. He's kind of a robot now, but yes, let's make him king. And Grey Worm's like, I'm very angry about all of this, but I'm just going to stand here with my spear and not really stab anybody, even though I'm already established as a completely violent psychopath. Okay. Look, if this is how we have to watch the Jon Snow show, we will, okay? If we have to go Glidus style and just lampoon the thing, we will do that. If anybody knows Glidus' phone number, I'll get him on here. Guy's great. Any case. Who has a better story than Bran the Broken? Yeah, exactly. It's like Jon Snow sequels like, hold my beer. The Unsullied Dying of Butterfly Fever on Nath spinoff. There you go. Come on. This is what I'm looking for. Thank you, Cole Moody. Come on, Chad. Give me some ideas. That's what I'm looking for. I should have made a top 10 list. Top 10 spinoffs HBO needs to not do. That's pretty good. The Unsullied Dying of Butterfly Fever. Guys, it's only going to be one season because the butterfly fever, it kills everyone inside of a year. But Nath is cool. Butterflies, bunch of eunuchs on an island. Some butterflies. Then everyone dies. It's good. Craster's cousins. That's a good one, yes. Craster, well, so that's the thing is, even though Craster had 19 wives, he still had a secret family somewhere else that he visited with another 19 wives. He never told the one group about the other group. That's just how Craster rolls. Yeah. Or it's like the descendant of the one descendant of Craster, like Baby Monster comes to Craster's keep to reclaim his ancestral seat. Yes, Baby Monster spinoff. That's what we need. Aemon Battleborn, who's now a Tarly, right? In the book canon. Oh, Dario, Lord of Slavery, King Dario. Where's the King Dario spinoff? Maybe that's where the Jon Show is going. to Slaver's Bay. What happened in Slaver's Bay? Talk about stories that need to be told. What happened with King Dario? If in the books, Dario is a violent psychopath, guys. At least he's got those tendencies. He's not. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's true. He basically suggests murder to solve every problem. And when he's talking, like Dany's like all vexed with the problem of how to create peace in Meereen with these ex-slavers and trying to reform them and stuff. And Dario's just like, just call them together on some pretext, a feast, a wedding, anything, and then just kill them all. The problem solved. And Dany's like, he would make me a butcher. And then Dario's like, all kings and queens are butchers, baby. Just embrace it. Like, that's King Dario. So we'd have to bring back Fabio Dario. The second Dario was way too nice. We need Fabio Dario, blue mustaches. Yeah. Fagon prequel on a pole boat. Fagon on a pole boat. Make him like 12. Where's the Anakin Skywalker kid actor? He was really annoying. Fagon on a pole boat. King Dario. Let me see what I missed in the chat. I was riffing there. We got to the good material. I knew we'd get here eventually. I was just fighting for it, fighting to get there. No, I don't think they can bring back Stannis. He's pretty dead. Stannis is pretty fucking dead. Let's see here. The Conquest. Yeah, so the Conquest it peters out. That's what I was saying about the reason why they probably chose House of the Dragon, the Fire and Blood time period, because the Conquest does peter out. It's basically 2 or 3 years long. Then everything's sort of chill until 9 AC when Rhaenys dies. And they're fighting in Dorne, but it's very just like they come and burn the cities, the Dornish hide, they come back, and it's just round and round, doesn't go anywhere. Then Rhaenys dies, and they call off the war, and then nothing happens until 30-something, when it's like Maegor and Aenys and stuff. So that's why I said a movie or like a 6-episode, 1-season thing just to get the main part of it, all the battles, and just finish with the coronation, and that's that. That would be cool, but there's not a lot else there. Let's see. Young Griff on a pole boat. We like that. I could go for more Red Priest stuff. Like, if you started fresh, like, give me the story of somebody brought up inside the Red Temple as a priest that doesn't want to be a Red Priest anymore, maybe. Spins out of that whole bit. Goes off into the east. Like, I don't know. You could... Yeah. It seems just lazy to have to be like, well, people like Jon Snow and people know Kit, so let's do a show with him. It just seems like there's not a thought deeper than that here, kind of. What about the Andal Conquest or the First Men? So, yeah, anything from history could be interesting. The Andal Conquest, you could do that one because the details of it are sketchy. So there's a lot of liberty there. There aren't really main characters. Like the Andal Conquest is a series of semi-legend, semi-historical accounts, semi-legendary, semi-historical accounts of things like the Battle of Seven Stars and stuff like that. Let me go back for Michael Doyle's super chat. Thanks, Michael. That's what I need sometimes. Just a little reminder, and I will get you. Let's see. Scroll. Before the Morley, Sydney Taylor. This is a marketing stunt for House of the Dragon. Yeah, could be. It could also be like a trial balloon, like I was saying. Hibbert is connected to D&D, so maybe there's somebody from HBO called him up and been like, "Hey, dude, why don't you take? I heard this," and so they're just going to gauge the reaction. It could be that too. I don't know that much about the workings of Hollywood. I'm not I'm not going to claim to have an authoritative view on that. Alex Mars says, "Bring Ned back. Let's see Jon's upbringing in Winterfell and the Iron Man Rebellion." Oh yeah, so the one he and Robert put down. I would go for that, but that's only really like a couple of seasons unless you started adding other stuff that happened. Ideally, when you want to do a whole show, you want to identify a pocket of action that has a set of characters and start and end point and all that kind of stuff. But who doesn't like who's the Ned Stark actor? Sean Bean. Thank you. So bad with names. Still looking for this. Michael Doyle. There you go. So do you think House of the Dragon will include Mushroom? Probably not. I worked this out on a different live stream. Seems like it would just be too problematic. Tyrion's portrayal of a little person was positive. He was a very dynamic character, good and bad. That was a step forward. Mushroom is a comedic relief. He's basically a clown. So don't know that they'd want to cast a little person as a jester. That would be problematic. They could do Mushroom a different way, but I think they probably just won't include him because the main point about Mushroom is that he's an unreliable narrator in House of the Dragon, in Fire and Blood rather. He's there to give us the salacious angle on everything. But he plays a little bit of a role in the story in a couple of the Rhaenyra scenes, but nothing that needs to be there. So I tend to think no. It says they've made no announcement of any sort of casting that would fit, and it makes me wonder because he's so involved. Well, he plays up his own involvement a lot, but really he's just there to witness events. He's not really driving events. It just says, "Oh, and Mushroom was there too, and maybe he also pleasured so and so with his giant member or his tongue." That's what it says, like for 5 different things. And he claims to have been advising Rhaenyra at a certain point, but that's a thing that could easily not have happened, or they could say didn't happen for the show. It could also make it if they think of a good way to do it though, it would be a good surprise, something to keep from the audience, and then bust it, be like, oh, there's their version of Mushroom. Maybe he's just not a little person, or maybe he is a little person, but they think of a way to do it in a way that is somewhat tactful and not horrific, although that seems tough. But who knows? Maybe he just won't be a fool. Maybe he'll be a character that is more of a rumor monger or whisperer, but less of a fool character. I don't know. But we haven't heard anything, so it's all speculation on Mushroom. So go back to the live chat here. So yeah, I did, when we looked at the trailer of House of the Dragon, somebody else pointed out, and I talked about it, that almost all of the shots of the court scenes are shot from like a waist-high view. And maybe that's meant to imply Mushroom as a narrator. And the show is going to time jump. So maybe they do need a narrator, like an actual narrator that frames the opening of the episode. And 10 years later, when Rhaenyra was now
middle-aged woman and very bitter. Rhaenyra, awful person, really. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, on with the show. Maybe that'll be Mushroom. Like Fred Savage and his grandfather for The Princess Bride. Where the boys at the beginning he's asking his grandfather to skip through the kissing parts. But then when they get to it, the grandfather's like, "Oh, it has kissing. I'll skip past it." And the young Fred Savage is like, "Oh, actually, don't go ahead and read it. It's fine. I don't mind it." But yeah, so maybe Mushroom will be the narrator that frames the time jumps. But other than that, yeah. It would be cool if the Jon Snow show takes place 200 to 300 years after. Yes, embrace. He's undead after all. According to book canon, he is a zombie. He is undead. So he should be like Cold Hands. Or Benjen, I guess it would be. Only Benjen was partially converted to White Walker magic and Jon wasn't, and so that's why he's still very handsome. But he's technically resurrected with fire magic. So maybe that's the twist. The show opens and it's 300 years later. Everyone is dead. Jon is ranging the north. He's very depressed. He's like, "Man, this sucks." And then something starts happening and there's a whole new story. That's less likely. But Jon Hands. Yeah. The time jump is often what they would do in this situation if there was an excuse for Jon to be alive 200 years later, which there kind of is. Like I said, since he's been resurrected, because then that steps around all those problems. What is Sansa doing? What is Bran doing? What is Daenerys doing? Well, these people are long dead now, so we only have to address them in passing if people talk about what they did. It's a drama about Jon dealing with immortality, yeah. Or maybe it's like sort of like just method acting. It's like Jon and Dany are the last two people alive. They're both undead. Everyone else is gone. They're just on an empty plane, just like talking stuff out. It'd be interesting. That'd be brave. Bold choice. Yeah, I mean, I think we've exhausted the possibilities here. But just to recap, it has not really been confirmed. HBO Go's Twitter site put out a tweet that's clearly playing with the rumors. It's a picture of Jon that says, "We know nothing." So they're being cute about it. It kind of makes me think that it is a real rumor, but it might not be. We're still waiting to hear. George hasn't said anything. HBO hasn't said anything solid. Kit's people haven't said anything. They specifically refused to comment or didn't return a phone call when asked. So yeah, see, that's the thing, Dagon Cod. What's up, Dagon? Shout out. They didn't address that. Is Jon immortal? They didn't talk about it. Except for when Beric was like, "The Lord of Light brought us back, you and I, for a reason." But it's not said if Jon can make babies, for example. Is he going to get older? Is he fully resurrected? Is he a white? Is he running on R'hllor power? It annoyed me that Beric, for the love of God, could light his own sword on fire because he had been resurrected by R'hllor. And then we have Jon Snow fighting against an ice dragon and White Walkers, and he never thinks to try to light his sword on fire. Why did he do that? Why didn't Beric show him how to do that? He saw Beric and Tormund do it. He saw Beric light his sword and Tormund's sword with his friggin' magic blood in the north against the whites. And was like, "Oh, that works really well." And Jon's just swinging Longclaw like, "Nope, I like my cold sword. I like the heart. I like the extra struggle. Like a guitar player that plays with extra thick old strings to just like to struggle. The action's really high off the neck. And then it's like, nah, I just like to struggle." Shout out to my brother-in-law, Chris. So yeah, I don't know. They never addressed that. They never even addressed if the people in the north thought that Jon was resurrected or knew that, or if they thought that he was breaking his Night's Watch vows, because last everyone knew he was Lord Commander of the Watch. And they're like, "King of the North." It's like, well, isn't he still Lord Commander? It was never talked about. Technically, does his death and resurrection free him from the Night's Watch vows? Jon basically asserted that it did by hanging those 4 mutineers, including a child or a teenager, Ollie, and then just walked away like, I'm done. You've got the watch, Ed. Peace. And that was that. So they never, Davos knew, but they never addressed politically like what the people thought, what the legality was there. He never lit his sword on fire. So they basically acted like Jon was not resurrected. They acted like he was just Jon. Daenerys was like, that's a nice scar. He's like, yeah, it's pretty hectic, isn't it? And that's about it. So, yeah. So we don't know. We don't know if a Jon Snow show would treat Jon like a zombie, like a R'hllor champion, or just like a regular dude. We do not know. Can he still skin change his wolf? He never skin changed his wolf in the show. That's another thing. In the books, Jon's a warg. On the show, it's only Bran that has a wolf dream. No one else ever has a wolf experience. They're just Starks that have wolves. That's it. So, yeah. Yeah, shout out to Glidus. I'm sure he had a lot to say about that episode. Oh, boy. King of the Wicker People says, I bet HBO is watching the stream for ideas. My idea, HBO, is do something else. But if you're going to do this, you better give me the Night's Queen. Anything short of that, and I'll be upset. Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and take last call for questions, guys. Like I said, I do have in-laws. I got to go meet. I'm actually very excited to go meet them. But it is a thing that needs to happen in the near future. So, last call for questions or comments. Hang on one second. And I've also got a surprise for you. I've been holding out on the cute dog. Oh my goodness. Look at him. Hi, Fred. I told you you were going to be famous today, buddy. Yeah. He's got a little dog sweater. And he's handsome. Look how handsome he is. Hi, buddy. Give me a kiss. He's a little sleepy. He just woke up. Oh, thank you, buddy. He sleeps right by the heater where it's warm because he's just a tiny little dog. He's just a tiny little man. And he's got to stay warm. So, hashtag dog lover LML. Yes, that's Minty's dog. His name is Fred. Fred's very handsome. I call him Meme Dog because he makes meme faces like all the time. Talk amongst yourselves. In any case, last call for questions. Yes, the doggo deserves head pets. Don't worry, it's never short of head pets. And my birds are at a bird hotel. That's correct. They're at the Bird Hotel, which is a thing that exists, thank God. Not a person. They are at a giant segmented, multi-chambered warehouse building with lots of parrots and several bird people and bird toys and screaming and mashed vegetables and everything that makes a bird happy. So they're living a good life right now. Could I stream the meeting of my in-laws? No, I will not. Theoretically, I could. Oh, we've got a Fred super chat from Maura Lee. Ah, yes. We'll definitely spend that on a new sweater for Fred. He always needs a new sweater. He's a dapper fellow. He loves putting on the sweaters too. He loves it. He's just like, it's all about it. So yeah, if you joined late, think the show is a bad idea. I did brainstorm a few ideas for what I would do if I could try to conceive of it as a good thing, but I do not think this is a good idea. If they were going to go back to Game of Thrones, post Game of Thrones timeline, I think the thing that would make sense would be an Arya show, simply because we already know she's set to head away from Westeros and have new adventures in a new land where they have artistic license. The land of artistic license is where Arya was sailing to. So they could have done whatever they wanted, and avoided all the weird stuff with the the bad ending. So yeah, Cleo looks weird today. She does, huh? Yeah, she's got long floppy ears. Somehow. So yeah, give me a show about Flemont Brax. Yeah, shout out your favorite obscure lord of obscure house here. How did that Blackwood and Bracken feud start? How were give the let's I would want a show called The Teats. And it's all about how the Blackwoods and Brackens argued over whether they were Missy's teats or Barbara's teats. Of course, that'd be a show about Aegon the Unworthy, which would be really terrible because he's a bad person, and everything that happens is awful. Or was that Maegor or Aegon the Unworthy, who was involved with the Blackwood and Bracken? I think that was Maegor. But in any case, The Teats, I'd watch that. It's about mountains. What? It's about mountains. Hey, Fred. Hey, Fred. Hey, buddy. Last call. Yeah, exactly. It isn't even Jon Snow. It's Aegon. He's Aegon Targaryen. Just call me Jon. Okay, Aegon. That'd be funny. That'd be the running gag. Everyone's like, okay, Aegon. He's like, no, call me Jon. Really. Whatever you say, Aegon. Call me Lord Snow. Yeah. Okay, Lord Aegon. Damn it. I mean, I really loved that one. I think it was like SNL, where it was like Jon Snow comes to dinner. And he keeps bringing up all this depressing Jon Snow shit at like a yuppie suburban dinner party. That was great. It is Aegon the Unworthy. Okay, cool. Very good. The Howland Reed show. Yeah, see, there you go. I'd watch a show about Howland Reed's early life. That would end up being Robert's Rebellion, though. That would be a sneaky way to do Robert's Rebellion through the eyes of Howland Reed. That would be interesting. But, it was Seth Meyers, yeah. Oh, and Melisandre did one. Oh, I gotta watch that. Have you seen that? Melisandre comes to dinner. Yeah, that'd be cool. Alex Mars sounds more like a bird prison. No, it's not. It's the happiest bird place in the world. The cool thing about the bird hotel is that, besides the fact that it's run by bird people, and they take the birds out and play with them and stuff, is that Goose comes back with new bird sounds every time. I always make sure they put him on the side with the African greys and stuff, not the other little noisy conures, so that Goose could steal new words from the greys, which he always does. That's how he learned his Star Wars bleepity bloop phaser noises. He learned a couple droid noises last time. He was only there for like 4 days, and he didn't know those before. So I was like, "Ooh, you're a droid now, cool." So yeah, when a whole month there, he's gonna, I don't know, he might know profanity or songs or anything. So that'll be good. Yeah, bird people. Hashtag bird people. We're easy to spot. I'm a bird person. I look birdie. You can tell. Right? Yeah, so. All right, guys. Well, I will go ahead and wrap this up. Let me go ahead and give you some thoughts on Jon's character as I close. I mentioned, like I said, I never did a Who's the Real Jon, but Jon's character in the books is very much meant as a parallel, or what you'd call a foil, to Dany, in that these two characters are both the last descendants of House Targaryen, but they don't know it, or they are separated from their inheritance. So Jon's separated from his lineage by ignorance, lack of awareness, and Dany by raw distance and power and things. So they both are characters that have a strong internal moral compass, and they are characters who challenge preconceived notions that other people hold around them. Jon specifically with the wildlings, but even before, Think about the way that Jon handles Sam coming to the wall. Sam is bullied by Rast and all them, and Jon instinctively protects Sam simply because he's weak, and it occurs to him as wrong and stupid also to pick on the weak. And he sees a bully for what he is, even though Jon has his own privilege to deconstruct, which is, well, excellently done, by the way, with three-fingered, no, it's Iron, no, not Iron Emmett, who, Donald Noy, that straightens Jon out about his privilege or whatever. But the point is, Jon shows the same instinct as Dany, where Dany, in the first book, she moves to protect the prisoners of war. When she sees the Dothraki raid the town of the Lazarene, she sees the rape and plunder, and she literally interrupts Dothraki custom to try to protect these women. It doesn't go perfectly, but this is Dany showing us her character in Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, Jon does the same thing when he protects Sam. And he not only protects Sam in that moment, but then goes and uses... It's like the most active thing that Jon has done up to this point is to go around and organize the other boys to act a certain way to protect Sam from the bullying of... Actually, it's the bullying of Thorne, Alistair Thorne. That's really who's bullying Sam. He's commanding the other kids to bully Sam. And his point of view is like, if he's not a warrior, then we're just going to run him out of here or make him kill himself because he's no use to the Watch. And of course, Jon isn't not only kind, but intelligent enough to see through that, right? And this is where we first have respect for Jon, when he goes and talks to the Lord Commander and says, yeah, but Sam can do this and that. Sure, he's a great big coward and he's never going to fight well, but he's smart and he's trained. He's good with animals, so he can handle the ravens and he can write. And he points out all these useful things that Sam can do. So this is when Maester Aemon begins to see Jon as a real potential leader and begins to really tutor Jon and take him under his wing. This is Jon showing both empathy and wisdom. And that's how Dany earns our respect too, over and over. Empathy and wisdom. So these characters are meant to be foils to each other. That's another reason why it was such a tragedy to have one murder the other. And Jon wasn't even convicted about it. Like, he was basically like manipulated into doing it and then did it in a sort of passionless way. It was the absolute wrong way to bring that storyline to a conclusion. And the other thing they did really wrong to mess with Jon's character is the way that RLJ was rolled out. It was only used as a political tool to drive a wedge between Jon and Dany, when it actually should work to unify Jon and Dany, two people that are kind of alienated from everyone else, that learn they have this common link, as well as a romantic link. So I definitely think that will fall out differently. Did Aemon know about Jon's heritage? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he may have begun to wonder if Jon was a fulfillment of prophecy, but I don't see how Aemon would know about that stuff. The one chance that we would have of Aemon knowing is, I think that Aemon probably was communicating with Rhaegar. In fact, there's evidence that he was. So it depends on how late in the game Rhaegar was talking to Aemon. But it does seem like Aemon was in on some of the, like on his deathbed when he's ranting about the bleeding star and stuff, he's talking about, oh, we thought this, and Rhaegar thought that it was, the comet meant this. So it sounds like Aemon is in the loop on some of the Rhaegar stuff. We just don't know how far that went. And, would Rhaegar have risked Jon's identity in a letter that he sent to Aemon? Like, doubtful, So I don't think that Aemon knows. And I think it makes the whole Aemon-Jon relationship more poetic. Because think about this. When Aemon's on his deathbed, he hears about Dany, and he realizes it must be Dany. And he's like, oh, I wish I had the strength to go to her. And he's just anguishing himself that he can't go to Dany, that there is a Targaryen alive in the world. The way that he reacts to that knowledge basically tells us that he did not know Jon was a Targaryen. Because if he had known, he would have had that same reaction to Jon. And the reaction to Dany would have been different as well. So I would say that Aemon did not know. And that is part of the tragedy of this. But it's also poetic, though, because even though Jon didn't know it, he did get some wisdom from an old Targaryen. And specifically, Aemon has told him to look in these certain books of colloquial Votar that contain passages about Azor Ahai and the prophecy. So that's obviously going to be important for Jon to know that at some point. And where does that knowledge come from? Maester Aemon. So there is a little... Aemon was more successful than he knew. That's kind of the thing. Like, Aemon wants to go counsel Daenerys because he thinks that she's the last Targaryen. Meanwhile, he's already given a lot of wisdom and counsel, and he's been a father figure to Jon, who is one of 2 last Targaryens. So Aemon did a little better than he thought he did, and that's kind of sweet to think about. So, like I said, the thing that ruins Jon's character in the books or in the show is that he goes from a character that's driving the plot, making decisions based on a strong moral compass, to somebody who's just a tool of the politics, really. And he just fights in the Long Night. The thing I did like about the Long Night battle is I like the way Jon laid in the cut for the Night King. It was very brave. He took his dragon and basically hid, waited for Night King to fly into the Godswood, and then just charged at him and attacked him right in the air, dragon to dragon. That was pretty heroic. But after that, his role in the battle was pretty disappointing. He was cut off. He was right there ready to face Night King, and then they just crowded him out, and he's just lost amid the whites. And then he ends up just shouting at the ice dragon before Arya kills the Night King. And so Jon's pretty disappointing in the battle there. But the bigger erasure was the erasure of his character. Speaking in short clipped dialogue. Like the horrible scene was the one with him and Dany, where Dany is now supposed to be going crazy and she looks all haggard and she's not eating. And Jon goes to talk to her and he says like 5 words the whole time. And you're just like begging for him to say something. Like I was literally screaming at the screen, say something. They turned him into Steamboat Willie, right? That's what I said on Twitter. Steamboat Willie is, of course, the original Mickey Mouse cartoon where there's no speech. There's just the old-timey music. And you see Mickey Mouse doing stuff, and then it's like a black screen, and there's one line of text, and it says da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da. And it flashes back to Mickey Mouse, and he's doing stuff, and that's it. Like, that's basically what Jon became. So, right, say something. Like, tell us what you feel. Dany wants to know. The whole world wants to know. What do you feel about this? And he just had nothing to say. So, that's bad writing. It's D&D not knowing what words to give him, basically. It's the only thing I can say, because if they had had dialogue, they would have used it there. That's when you would have used that dialogue. They didn't. So, yeah. So the Jon character really was kind of erased. He became a plot device, which kind of sucks since he's one of the main characters. And that was disappointing. It was not disappointing obviously, the Dany disappointment just sort of like stands on its own. King Bran is pretty disappointing, but the Jon Snow really was. Like, this was a character that used to stand for something that just became a tool and then murdered his girlfriend without really even trying to work it out. Like, it's fucking stupid, man. So, yeah. Now, obviously, D&D wouldn't be writing this show, so maybe they could just go back to the erudite Jon Snow, who has thoughts about stuff and feelings. I would assume you'd do that, but yeah. Anyways, so there you go. Those are my thoughts about the show. If we get more confirmed news about it, then I guess I'll talk about it more. But for now, I'm just hoping to hear that this is all a steaming pile of horse shit, and it's never going to happen. That'd be great. Anyways, I love you guys. And if we get a House of the Dragon trailer on Sunday, as some people say, then I will be here to talk about it live. Otherwise, I'm not sure if I will stream this Sunday, having just streamed today. So all I can say is subscribe to the channel. I am on vacation, so schedule's a little bit patchy here, but I am keeping in touch with you guys because I love y'all and I miss you if I stay away for too long. So thanks for everyone sending in super chats and PayPals. If I missed a super chat, I will just give you 30 seconds to repeat it real quick, because I do that sometimes. And I did get a PayPal, actually, from Brona. Maybe they can do a realistic end to the show. The North is dying and starving. The Lords are rebelling. Civil war against the biased vote. Yeah, the others come. The Night's King was not the only one. So that would just be more Game of Thrones. Like I said, that would be just basically picking up. That would be Game of Thrones season 9, or you could call it 10 or 2.0 or whatever. That's a good idea. But I'm just saying, like, that doesn't fit the description of a Jon Snow show. I mean, I guess they could just call it the Jon Snow Show, or a title, Lord Snow, or some title that centers it around Jon, and then just make it Game of Thrones season 10. But it seems like calling it the Jon Snow Game of Thrones Reloaded. Nice. Shout out to the Matrix. But it just seems like if they're calling it the Jon Show, then they're gonna take it in a different direction. So we'll just have to wait and see if there's more news that comes out about it. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the little bell. Make sure it's set to all notifications. That way, anytime I go live, it'll notify you if you have the YouTube app, set for notifications on. So I do like, Brona, I like the way you're thinking as far as like, what's happening with the starving and the dying? What's, the wildlings? Like I said, are they getting reconciled into Westeros? But I'm just not sure how much interest there is in that, or if George would want them to tell that story. So I'm really looking for some hard confirmation or denial of this in the next day or two, so we can move on or come to grips with the new reality. So that's it, guys. Thank you for joining me this lovely weekend, wherever you are, whatever time it is. And I'll see you again real soon with some more hot flying D's or something.